there. Let's get started on our Tunisian crochet knit stitch. This is the knit stitch. Baby blanket, 2 colors. I used Red Heart Soft Rose Blush and Off-White. I used an 8mm Tunisian hook for the body of the blanket and a 5.5mm standard crochet hook for the border. You can go bigger, smaller. This blanket measures 25 inches wide by 32 inches long. The body of it is 28 inches long. Let's see, let me get my measuring tape here, and about 19 inches wide. And then you add your border. All right, let's get started. Today I'm using Red Heart Seafoam and Red Heart Soft Seafoam and Red Heart Soft Off-White. This is going to be my color A. If you're following the pattern, you're going to chain 35. I'm only going to chain 10 because I'm making just a sample to show you. I'm not making a whole blanket today. If you want to make it wider than the one that I made, just add more stitches. You just need to have the same number of chains for each color. So I'm going to go with 10. So there's my 10. Now you're going to add your color B. That does not count as a chain. Go ahead and just loosely tie it. Very loosely, just so it won't be in your way. You can tie that tail in later or weave it in later. All right, now we start our color B chains. 1, 2, 3, however many chains that you made your first color, that's what you're going to make for your second color. I've already lost track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now it's really important in this pattern that you do go in the back bump of this initial chain. It's the only time that you'll do the back bump. So we're going to go into the second chain, don't count that, not the first one, but come into the second one, turn it over and find that back bump. And there it is. Pull it through, hold that loop on. This is where Tunisian crochet is different from regular crochet. You're going to keep holding all these loops. Make sure you're going in the back bump. If you don't know where you are, turn it over, find your chain, turn it back over, find your bump. Now when you're coming along through your stitches with your color B, it's always going to be, you're going to be going in 9 because you already had a loop when we started out. You should have whatever color or whatever number you had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't let me confuse you. Whatever number that you had initially, that should be what's on the loop, number of loops that's on your hook now. Now let's make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's 10. It got tightened up a little bit here when we joined in with our color B. So turn it over and find your back bump. It's going to be a little tight on that first, whoops. A little tight, a lot tight on that first one. Again, keep your chains on. When you're coming through with your color A, you will go through 10. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, you'll have 35. It will take you longer. You can pause this at any time. You can slow it down. You can mute it. I will have the directions on the video itself. Now, we're always going to chain 1 at the end of that row. In the Tunisian knit stitch and several of the other Tunisian stitches, you're going to yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Pull through 2. Keep doing that until you only have 1 color A loop on your hook. And then we'll switch colors. There, I only have 1 of my color A, so I'm going to switch colors. Make sure you have the working yarn and not the tail. I say that because I've done that. 2, 2, 2. As you get towards the end, tighten it up a little bit. Keep it straight and keep it from being too loose at the end. Now, I did forget, I should have twisted that one. My right side always ends up looser than my left side. So to account for that, I twist that first loop. Doesn't seem like it does much, but it helps keep it tight. Now, for the knit stitch, find that front leg and it has a back leg. Go through the middle. Pull up, leave it on there. You can see all the front legs all along here. Go through the front leg and the back leg. There's the front leg, there's the back leg. Go right in the middle of them. Pull up that loop. And don't get your tail tangled up in there. Now, when you get to this one, it's going to be a little hard to see the front and the back. Just make sure that you don't grab color A in there. Now drop color B. Here's where you can tighten it. Don't worry when it's loose when you come back on your return, because you can tighten it up here. Make sure you go into that very first one. There's the front, there's the back. When you're coming along now, they start spreading out. They're a little bit easier to see. Also easy to get confused. Don't go in here. Go in here. Super easy to get confused. It's not difficult. It is a pattern, a stitch that you need to pay attention to, because if you are off, if you go in the wrong space, then it's not a knit stitch and it won't be lined up properly. Now, at the end of each row, you're going to see this. It looks like the V that you normally go into when you're going into a stitch. Just make sure you go into both parts of that, the front and the back, just like if you're going into a full stitch. Pull through, and again, we always chain 1. You don't need to pull that tight. If you pull it too tight, it'll be hard to get through on your way back. All right, the return row again. Pull through 2, pull through 2. Remember, you're doing 35 of each color. or more if you decided you wanted your blanket bigger. You could make a really big blanket with this. You'd probably need to get the Tunisian crochet hook that has the long tube. All right, we're down to one loop of our color A. Switch to color B. Pull through two, pull through two, pull through two, pull through two. Your bottom row is going to curl up. Don't worry about it. It will straighten out when we make the border. Pull through two, pull through two, pull through two, pull through two. Start tightening it up. 2 or 3 stitches from the end. Tighten, tighten, twist. Make sure you're going into your previous knit stitch. Front, back, go in. Front, back, go in. All right. Now my right side will be pretty much even with my left side. It still might be a little loose, but they're pretty even. It's going to look like this all the way up on either end. And that's it. That's what you do. Let's do one more row and one more return. So whenever you're going this way, you'll be going in one less. Remember not to grab that color A. Then your number of chains, because you already have one chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep checking. You don't have to check every single row, but here and there, check and make sure. And you can tighten and loosen this as needed. Make sure when you get to this one that you're finding that front and the back. Now turn it. See that stitch there? That's what you go into. Right there. Pull through. Before you forget, remember to chain 1. See how it's bringing up the little loops? That's what it will look like on the end all the way up. All right, let's do one more return. I already did my chain 1. Pull through 2, pull through 2. So you see, it's not that hard. You don't have to keep the stitches tight because they actually kind of tighten up on you as you progress in the pattern. See how it's already starting to look knit? And this is how it looks on the back. It's still a pretty pattern on the back. See, I'm getting kind of a glare here today. All right, we're down to one loop of color A. Switch to color B. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, 2, 2. And as I said, you can pause, you can rewind, you can fast forward, you can mute. And if you have a tendency for your stitches to be loose on the right, make sure you twist that. That seems to help me. Sometimes mine get really loosey-goosey. So that's what you're going to do all the way up until 28 inches long for this pattern. Longer if you want. It's really soft. So I'll meet you back when you have it as long as you want, and I will show you how to make the border. All right, I'm back. I'm just making a really small sample swatch. I would suggest you do a few of these yourself just to get the hang of the stitch. But right now I'm going to show you how to work the border and the corner of the border I'm going to make a real short border, otherwise it's going to look very strange on here. You are going to chain 12. I'm only going to chain 5 or 6, I'm not sure. Anyway, we have switched over. Just took out my Tunisian crochet hook and put in my standard crochet hook, 5.5 meters, after I finished a return row. So we're just going to make some single crochets into that knit stitch that we were doing. But now, instead of leaving the chains on, you're going to make a single crochet. This is just going to close out the edge here. So again, you're going in between that front and the back, right there. Single crochets. And this would be your last one for this row. Pull up a loop. Come into that very first knit stitch between the front and the back. Actually, put a loop on there so you can make a single crochet. You're going to go all the way to your corner. Make sure you're going in between the front and the back leg there. And here, where you would have gone into your stitch at the end of the row, that's the last one for that row. And chain 1. All right, turn the corner, go to the next stitch, single crochet. We're just crocheting around that border. And come into your corner stitch here, chain 1. And we're going to go along the bottom. Obviously yours is much longer than mine. This is just going to give you a nice row of single crochets to work your border into. And it's beginning to make this a lot more even. All right, that is the end of our color A. Pull up a big loop. All right, we're going back to our color B. You're going to chain 12. I'm going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to turn because we're going this way with it. Come into the second chain. Back bump. You don't really have to do back bump on this one. I just really like to. Come all the way down, and you're going to have one less single crochet, then you had chains. So you should have 11, I should have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's hard to find that last one sometimes. Get in there. All right, got it. Oops, sorry, I was out of camera there. All right, do not go into this first stitch that you came out of. Go into the next one, slip stitch, and go into the next one after that, slip stitch. So you did 2 slip stitch. Count down from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should be counting down to 11, and that's the stitch you're going to work into, not this one. Go in the back loop only. This is going to make a nice ribbed border. It's stretchy, and it looks like the ribbing that you see on sweaters. So this blanket reminds me a lot of a sweater. When you get to the top, instead of going in the back loop only, go in both loops. That prevents any holes or gaps at the top. Chain 1 and turn. As always, pause the video when needed. Now, in that very first stitch, go in the back loop only, single crochet your way down. You should be crocheting 11 back loop only, single crochets, and I should have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do. Don't go into that stitch that you came out of. Go into the next one, slip stitch, and go into the next one, slip stitch. Turn. The same thing. When I almost always have to count down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just want to make sure I don't go into the wrong stitch. Back loop only, single crochet your way up. And both loops of the top. We did a chain 1, turn, back loop only on your way down, back loop only, single crochet. You will have 11. Sometimes it's hard to find that last one. Just make sure you're counting. Now, you see where that's coming out. Don't go in there. Go in the next with a slip stitch, and the next. You're going in the full stitch. I want to take you to the corner so I can show you how we do the corners. So continue, back loop only, single crochet. When you get to the top, go into both loops of that stitch and chain 1. When you're coming back down, back loop only in each stitch. Don't go into that stitch, go into the next one, slip stitch and slip stitch. Turn. So we're going to go right back up. Make sure you're counting. Make sure you go into both loops of the top, chain 1 and turn. Now we're at the corner. Obviously yours is going to be much larger. See how nice that is? So stretchy, so cute. When you get to the corner, you're even with the edge there. You're going to again chain. I already did the chain 1. Chain 12. I'm going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And come back down. In the back bump, you don't have to. I just really prefer to. I think it holds it together nicer. It's just a thicker edge, if you will. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, and sometimes that last one's hard to find. 5. Don't go in that stitch. Go in the next stitch with a slip stitch, and the one after that with a slip stitch. Turn. You've just gone around the corner. Now you're starting your border on the other edge of your blanket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Told you I have to keep counting. The same thing, back loop only, single crochets until you get to the top, and then you go through the full stitch only on your way up. Chain 1 and turn. Back loop only on your way down. Remember to count. You should be counting down to 11. And I have 5. All right, I came out of that stitch, so I don't want to go in there. I want to go in the next stitch, slip stitch, and the next stitch. That one's a little tight. And a slip stitch. Okay. I'm going to keep going until I reach this edge so you can see how it looks. Remember to do your counting. Don't go in there. Let's go in this one. Oops. Look at it from the back. Slip stitch. Go into your next stitch, slip stitch, and come back. We're meeting up with this edge now. Come back down, back loop only. Don't go in that stitch, go in the next one. Oops, slip stitch. And into the next one. Slip stitch. Come back up in the back loop only. And chain 1. If you want to, you can go ahead and make single crochets all the way around. You'll just have to join your yarn before you start making your border. I found this to work pretty well. So keep going until you meet up with your color A. You're going to continue on down with the same pattern. When you get to the corner, do the same thing that we did, and then come across, and I will meet you back when you meet up with your color A. See you in a minute, or several minutes. I do want to mention, I'm almost to the corner. This is the edge where my stitches tend to be kind of loose, and I wasn't being all that careful with my sample here. If you get to some loose stitches and you don't leave any holes there, simply instead of going in through the front, go in through the back and make your slip stitch. And the same thing with this one, and make your slip stitch. That will pull that in a lot tighter for you, and it'll be just fine. So continue on until you get to your color A. And just a reminder, when you get to the corner, you're at the edge that's even with the other edge. That's where you chain your 12 again. And then you come up and down again until you get to your color B and stop there. Okay, I'm almost back to color A. I'm going to go in my last stitch here. I already did one slip stitch. I'm trying to decide. I need to go again. See how I'm not quite there? I need to go up and down one more time. I'll turn. I have to be at the bottom to join up with my color A. So we'll go up one more time and down one more time. And then we'll meet up with color A. It'd be nice if I put it in the camera. One, two, three, four. Make sure you catch that last stitch. Right now we're going to meet up. Don't go in there. That's where we first met up. Let's go in here with a slip stitch. Let's go in here. But let's get your loop. Remember, you left that big loop here. Tighten it up a bit. Put that on your hook now. Drop your color B. Just come through both of those. There we go, just tighten it up. Okay, so you've done your two. You can cut that and weave it in later. So you are done with color B. So let's pick up our color A. Sorry about that. Same thing. Back loop only. This is the back of it. This is how it will look. You're going to tighten that up and weave it in. If you have any gaps here when you're weaving it in, just sew that together. And continue now with your color B. It's going to be the same exact thing all the way around until you meet back up. Don't go in there, go in your next. Slip stitch, slip stitch. I just want to show you what it's looking like. This is the right side. It's all going to even out when you do a little steaming on it. Obviously yours is going to be much bigger. You'll bring this through the back side to weave it in. So keep going, do your corners, and I'll meet you back at the very beginning, okay? Oh boy, you have reached your final row of your border and of your blanket. We still have 2 slip stitches to go. The last one is going to meet up with your original chain. Mine's still kind of loose. Go under both of the colors with a slip stitch. Now just cut your yarn and pull through a long tail. We're just going to sew them together. Pull it kind of tight. We're going to be sewing from this side. Just a simple mattress stitch. It's very similar to lacing your shoes. All right, we're going to start on this side. I'm going to go in the back here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure you're on your correct stitch. Come in from the middle. Oops. Make sure I have my whole stitch. And out. The same thing over here, 1, 2, 3. That one's kind of hiding. In from the middle and out. Reach across. You don't have to go tight at all right now because you're going to tighten it up when you're done. And that back, that's going to push this color forward so they'll match up and you won't see this at all. All right, pull it tight. Not too tight, don't let it pucker. It just blends right in. And now you can take your end and weave it in. This could be a cute little baby blanket. And this is the original blanket. It's very drapey, but a dense stitch. That's how it looks in the back. There's your border. It does look knit. It's this yarn, the Red Heart Soft, is so soft and so easy to work with. I really love it. This is what it looks like, your back seam and where they meet up. So let me know if you had any trouble or if you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. You could make one in one color if you like. And as I said, mine ended up being 25 inches wide by 32 inches long. Good size for a newborn. All right, thanks for watching.